Welcome to another episode of the Patient Pod, episode number 3, where we're going to dive into the top emotional stressors that we not only see in our office, but correlate that with the data that we found online. According to a Gallup in 2022, 50% of the U.S. population that works is feeling stressed at their job. 41% as being worried, 22% sad, and 18% angry. We've also found some interesting stats and correlated that to some pre and post-COVID times. Pre-COVID, it was more about location and proximity for job happiness. Well, what we're seeing with the data is that we found that even though the working population is working less hours and more convenient time at home, these numbers are proving that we're still unhappy in the workplace. This is the most important aspect that we see here in their office that is affecting emotional stress. That goes back to our previous episodes where we talk about the nervous system and how that can affect your health over time. If it's not hours or work location, Dr. Bryant, what do you think's going on, man?
So the thing is with stressors, and we've talked about this a lot. Whatever, the biggest stressors that are on all of our patients and even on us is things that we do all the time. So you're looking at work, you're looking at problems at home, whatever it is, the people around you or the things that you do are probably going to be the biggest stressors just because they happen all the time. So it reminds me a lot of, when you talk about the job, not feeling happy at your job or worried or sad or whatever that is. I can really relate to that because I had a job not too long ago. And I remember while I was going through this job, there were certain points where I wasn't satisfied with the job. And I remember, and like you were talking about, you went through workers being sad, worried, angry. I went through all those stages with this job. And I think that, with those polls, those are what those people are at that particular time. But I know a lot of other people that are listening to this can relate with it as well. You kind of go through that emotional roller coaster of being a little bit happy. You try to stay positive, and then sometimes you're sad and then you're angry because it's just not what you thought it should be. So I know with my experience, and I was going through it, I remember real clearly at the beginning, I was making excuses for what was going on at the job and what was making me unhappy. At the beginning, it was a lot of, oh, well, maybe it's the boss, because that's a normal thing. Everybody, gripes about their boss or whatever. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe it's my coworkers. Oh, maybe it's the coworkers that I don't like to work with, or maybe that's what's making it bad. And then I went on into well, maybe the work vacation balance isn't enough. Maybe I feel like I'm working too much, not getting enough time off. So I went through all those different stages. And it wasn't until I really, I was kind of fed up with myself, being a real sad sack and not being who I know that I can be. And it wasn't until that point that I decided, hey, it's time for me to sit down with myself and kind of have a little conversation with myself and go, what is really going on? Because this job that you're at hasn't changed any. The people there haven't changed any. It's the same thing. Why are you now unhappy, whereas before you were feeling good about it? And it finally came to me. It wasn't about my boss. It wasn't about my coworkers. It wasn't about the time off or the time on. It was because I was unsatisfied with where I was at in life. I was not fulfilling my life the way that I thought that I should. I was doing less than what I thought that I should. So what that did was it manifested in a lot of different emotions, because I think the hardest thing for, us to do as human beings is to actually maybe blame ourselves for something. A lot of times what we do is we push the blame off on somebody else, and we're like, well, it ain't me. It's got to be them. A lot of times it's us. It's us not fulfilling what we think that we should fulfill, and we're not meeting the standard that we have in our own brain. And deep down, subconsciously, that just builds up on you for a long time. So, so towards the end of me working there, I started thinking, how am I going to make this situation better for me? How am I going to get this to where it's what I like in life, it feels fulfilling? So at that time, I wished I could have just cut it off and gone, hey, I'm moving on, but it's not like that. And we're going to kind of outline towards the end of the show different techniques that you can use in order to, start doing the things that you want to do. But I'm gonna outline one of them in the thing that I did at the beginning. So when I finally decided, hey, I want to go do my own thing, I want to work somewhere else, I couldn't leave at that time, so I was stuck. So you have two choices. You can be still a sad sack and walk around and feel sorry for yourself or whatever that is, or blame people, whatever it is that you want to do, or you can use the time that you have. And at that time, you don't know how much time it is. It could be 6 months, it could be a year. You really don't know. So you got to have faith in yourself, and you got to formulate a plan and go, hey, this is where I want to go. Don't know when it's going to be, but at some point we're going to get there, and we're going to utilize the time that we have until we get there. So I made a conscious decision to go, hey, let's quit moping around and let's get better during this duration before you move on to the next thing. And what that does is it allows you to crisp up who you are and what you want to be. That way, when you finally get there, you're able to make the most out of it as quickly as possible.
Absolutely, man. And I think the plan aspect with what you shared with your story was the most important part to it in that transition. And I can relate to a couple stories. So there's an experience I had during college baseball, and going back to those times my freshman year, had high expectations going into the season, at playing at a pretty competitive club. And I remember towards the end of the year, there was really no way I was going to be getting in the lineup. It just season was going downhill, just kind of clashed with the coach a little bit. My ritual was always to give my dad a call after batting practice. I always did that just to check in with him. It always just kind of calmed me down. And I remember towards the end of the season, he would always say, or he'd always ask me, "Did you win batting practice today?" And one day I was like, "Dad, why do you keep asking me if I won batting practice?" And he said, "Because you need to be prepared for your next move. And you never know what you're doing right now and how that could affect your future and where you go." And so the rest is history. I did my best to make myself better, even though I wasn't exactly where I wanted to be at that school. And that transitioned to a good transition the next year later. And that my father instilled that value in me to, even though you're not where exactly you want to be, you find out what it takes to get to where you want to be, and you work on that. You work on yourself. And so my transition years later, as I started my chiropractic career, had a very similar experience to you, Dr. Bryant. However, it was more or less of me feeling stagnant. I wanted to explode. I wanted to grow. I had so much energy to be a chiropractor. And I remembered that lesson that I learned, 10 years before that, about putting in my time, winning batting practice, and using that analogy to put all my ducks in a row, formulate a plan, and really stick to that and focus on that plan. And to be honest with you, you project that energy, and you put in the work, and you go to make yourself better. Things are going to work out for you. And it's not going to be, any type of overnight fix by any means. I think the number one thing we got to address, like you had mentioned, is sitting down and just being real with ourselves, with where we want to go, what it's going to take to get there, and then just executing, and know that it is all in your control. Like, we have control of where we want to go, with what we want to do. This is our life. This is our time. And it's just so important. We see it so much in the office, and it hurts my heart in a way when I see patients and individuals extremely unhappy with their jobs, and to know that that is a big stressor throughout their life that is affecting their health deep down.
So yeah, so just like you were saying, it's not going to be an overnighter, and it's unfortunate because I wish that it was, because it would be very nice if we decided we wanted to do something and then bam, we got it. It probably wouldn't be as fulfilling, but that would be awesome, because we like our world nowadays where we get it right now. If you want to look up something, you want to look up an answer, if you want to order a pizza, boom, it's there in no seconds flat. So but with the process, going taking those baby steps, like you said, it's not overnight. So you have to prepare your brain. Hey, it's not going to be probably within the next week. And like you were also saying, You don't really know when it's going to be. So, some other tips that you can use besides, utilizing that time, like we were saying, while you're utilizing that time, do some other things like talking to your loved ones, talk to your friends, talk to those people, ask them what they think about what you're doing. Ask them, how they feel about you going in this direction. Now, you always got to be confident with what you want to do, but get some feedback from your loved ones. Also, find somebody that's already doing what you want to do. It's massive because when you start down a journey of trying to figure out, let's just, if you want to open up a hot dog stand and you've never opened a hot dog stand up, would it be better to somebody who runs a pizza place to talk to, or someone who's already got a hot dog stand going on? I think the hot dog stand guy. So if you can go talk to that guy, he's going to be like, "Well, you can't park here. You can't do this thing. This doesn't work," and he can give you those shortcuts to the next step. And also, the biggest thing that people don't talk about is it's the confidence in that next step. I think so. When a lot of people can give you great information, but if they're not already doing it, you're a little bit skeptical on whether that information is, what it should be. You're like, yeah, do they know? Because I mean, as we know, a lot of people got a lot of opinions out there. So you got to watch what you listen to, and you got to filter it out. So the best thing that you can do is find someone that's already doing it. Find that guy that's already running that hot dog stand and listen to him, and he's going to tell you exactly what you need to do, and then you're going to have confidence. He said this is it. It should be it. And 9 times out of 10, it is going to be that. And the last thing, be ready for some criticism. Be open to it. Be open to someone giving you little feedback that can be positive. I feel like with our human nature, it's tough to listen to someone who's saying, "Hey, this, if you do this, it might be a little better." A lot of times we feel attacked. We feel like they don't believe in me. They don't think what I'm doing is good. I know what I'm doing. And then you just get angry. And then you're just not learning anything. So be ready for some criticism. Take criticism from loved ones and mentors and people that have your best interest, not people that don't have your best interest, because they don't give a damn anyways. People who actually, have your best interest, listen to some criticism and grow from it, because it's going to be so much more of a positive experience when you're willing to learn and grow from other people.
Yeah, the biggest point you made there is like you said, find a mentor. Finding a mentor is vitally important. Somebody you know and that you can trust. And if you can't find one, look for one and find the answers they're given, and you'll feel that energy from them. You'll feel your heart open up. You'll feel that warmth. You'll be like, "Yep, this is the right fit. I see exactly what they're doing. I want to know
Mhm.
everything about what they're doing, and I want to know from their morning routines to what they're thinking. I want to know and study that, because I feel even from teachers, coaches, parents, all of these aspects kind of mold you into a certain way, and just kind of like a hybrid of techniques and strategies to use. Because I know about you, Dr. Bryant, like playing baseball, in those dugout days, that taught me how to deal with people. It taught me how to work with teammates and the different personalities, and how to relate. And there was one concept the same, as just love and respect for everybody, because we all
Mhm.
got that journey. And whether you're on your couch right now, piddle pudding around about what you want to do, or you're just kind of needing a little boost, I truly believe the number one thing we also have to do when we're looking to make a transition is to not only do our homework on what it takes, but really, whether you have a bad boss, bad coworker, or you're just not happy where you're at, you got to take all those. That's all external noise. I mean, it really comes down to you. What we got to do is look at it as our body is our temple, our environment that we control. Nothing from around us can bother that if we're from within, and we have that mission to serve, mission to be not only successful but fulfilled. I have a lot of patients that come in. A lot of the times it's that mid 40s range male that their kids are starting to kind of transition into high school and getting off to college, and then they start realizing, man, I really am not doing what I want to do. I'm not feeling fulfilled. I'm not feeling like I'm I mean, I'm providing for my family, but I'm just not, I don't feel the juice anymore with what I'm doing. And him and I have had some good conversations about, waking up that inner light that could make you steer you in the right direction. It all comes to accountability. And another thing too is when a person's ready to go, they're going to go. You hit that threshold. You can talk about it all day long, and there's a lot of talking these days. And so it's easy to do that. It's easy to look at somebody successful on Instagram and go, I'm going to be that. Well, you don't know their story or where they've been, where they've been and how long it took them to get there. You don't see that day-to-day grind. And what I've learned is you got to fall in love with that process, baby. You got to
Yep.
fall in love with the whole, the anxiety, the stress. You got to let it absorb. You got to feel it, and you got to learn from it and move on, because we got 80 to 100 years. Really isn't that long. It's we got one shot. And so at any time, if you can take your power back from the boss that's causing you stress, or that coworker that's driving you insane, that's literally decreasing your immune system, making you sick, creating a whole host of other diseases down the road because your body can't tell the difference. Man, take that power back, get after it, and go do and live the life you want to live. And it's never going to be easy, because the most successful people in the world, it was not an easy road. We all have a mountain. It's up to you to know what your mountain is and which avenue you got to take to climb that bad boy.
Absolutely. And
Fired
the
up, man.
most absolutely, and the most common reason why people don't achieve what they want to achieve, their goals, whatever it is because they quit too early. Too many people quit too early. So we want to leave that with you. Don't quit too early, because it's going to be with that process. Wherever you're going, there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, there's going to be right in between. But just know that you're slowly working towards that. And if you don't get any nice, pats on the back for the first 2 months, that's okay. Keep working where you want to go, and just don't give up too early.